I'm sure all had the experience at some point of either being on the responsible end or being on the guilty end of walking into a room and something is broken, right? And if you're the responsible, you ask the question, what happened? Or if you're the guilty party, fingers just get pointed like it's just, who did this? Oh, I don't know, I wasn't there. It was him. Was it him? It's the person who isn't here. Michael Vincent, it was him. He's not here to defend himself, but yeah, it was probably him. It was him. And so immediately when there's a question of responsibility and something has just gone wrong, and not that heads have to roll, but there will be, there are consequences to things breaking, or, just at least someone saying, sorry, it was me, I was carrying too many and I dropped one, whatever it was. No one likes to be caught out, and no one likes the effect, even if the effect, as I say, isn't severe. It's not like someone is going to be electrocuted or reprimanded or locked in the Tower of London or something for breaking a plate. It's just a case of saying, it was me, I did it was wrong, sorry. We don't like it. No, none of us like being kind of caught. None of us like having our mistakes made known. When you do something wrong and it's just plain obvious, it was you. No one likes that, not to have that kind of thing paraded. A quality which is rarely spoken about, and even when I was Googling it today, it's the way spell check, the spell checker often suggests words as you're going along. I was typing the word integrity, and it's like the spell check had never seen it before. Now maybe it's because I don't write it enough, or in general, I want the etymology of integrity. And normally, like I say, it suggests etymology of in int, and then the rest of the word will come up. It still wasn't there. So obviously people aren't looking this thing up. But integrity. Such a powerful, such a wonderful compliment to be able to say about someone. This person, this man, has integrity of heart, integrity of soul. And integrity, it means what? Well, integral, it means to be whole. So to be full, to be complete, to not lack anything. And so then, even in a situation where you've made some mistake, if you're a man of integrity, you can say, sorry, that was me. I'll fix it, or I'll pay for it, or I'll do what I can to undo it. Why? Because you're a person of integrity. St. Thomas More takes that to a whole new level. When you're dealing with kings like King Henry VIII, you're dealing with the most powerful people in the world at the time, at least in their estimation. Just like people who really could control every aspect of your life, and especially in King Henry VIII's scenario now, where he's starting to move from just being a good Catholic. I mean, he had the title, the Defender of the Faith, so he was known, at least for a time, as a good Catholic. And then marries Catherine of Aragon, can't have children with her, and wants to have an heir, wants to have a male son, a male child, and that's not going to happen. Wants an annulment from Catherine, and wants basically Rome, the Pope, to grant him that annulment. And annulment doesn't exist for that reason. You can't annul someone because you can't have children with them. That's the question. We won't get lost in the whole question of annulment, but annulment, the key question of annulment is, on the day these people got married, was it valid? Whatever happens afterwards isn't actually grounds for annulment. As on the day they got married, were they of sound mind? Was there any deception beforehand? Were they related without realizing it? All weird things. But generally speaking, on the day they got married, was it valid? That's the question for annulment. You can't say afterwards he became a drug addict, afterwards he became an alcoholic, afterwards he had an affair. That's all terrible, but it's not grounds for annulment. Annulment is on the day of the marriage, was the consent valid? If it is, then it's signed and sealed before God, and there's nothing we can do about it. Not that we're not condemning anyone to any difficult relationship, but it's not, I can't undo something that a couple has sworn before God. No, the church can't, even the Pope can't. So bottom line, it's juridically speaking, from Thomas More's perspective as well, you can't do that. You can't get an annulment on those grounds. You can't. And so he wouldn't agree to it. And even though he was very influential, very, very smart, and was a man of profound faith, had even spent a couple of years with I think it was the Cistercians, before engaging in his political career, he could not and would not sign the papers petitioning Rome to grant the annulment to King Henry VIII. He wouldn't. Now, this requires such integrity, because it would have been, maybe there were other things he could have done, I don't know, maybe with his wealth he could have simply disappeared. Do you know? Henry, I hope you're having a good weekend. I have to nip away there to some friends in France. Be back on Monday. Right? And just disappear. Because why? You oppose the king. All right? What do you think is going to happen? Especially like knowing Henry, how impetuous he was. You oppose the king. What do you think is going to happen? At best, lifetime imprisonment. At best. At worst, this whole arranged court case where there were all sorts of accusations made against him of stealing money and embezzling money, and there was absolutely zero evidence of it because he was so precise in his work. So because he had integrity, even though they tried to make up evidence, none of it was sticking. Then he was accused of talking to some kind of mystical nun type person and conspiring against the king. But then he was able to produce a letter which he wrote to her, telling this nun, don't interfere in politics. So whatever they tried to throw at him, because it wasn't the truth, it just wasn't sticking. And so then in this court case, then King Henry VIII's second wife, Anne Boleyn, they concocted a jury composed of Anne's own father, brother, uncle, and some other people who were entirely impartial, and convicted him then of treason. Now, treason, that was a bad word back then. That's conspiring against the king. That warrants the death penalty. So he was sentenced then to be hung, drawn, and quartered. Now, I'm not sure if you've seen Braveheart, but at the end you see part of what a hanging, a drawing, and a quartering looks like. And even in the movie Braveheart, they show you without showing you. At the beginning, they bring in these I don't know what you want to call them, kind of entertainers. They're what's the word for people of limited vertical stature? Are you allowed to say that? Is that politically correct? Dwarfs. William Wallace is up on the table, and they come along with these kind of knives. They pretend to cut him, and then they pull out a load of rope, right? What that's telling you is that ordinarily was part of the quartering. They'd slit you open, they'd take out your intestines. It wouldn't kill you, you won't bleed to death, but you just see all of your insides now on the outside. So hanging, drawing, and quartering, again, all of the English people at the time, they knew it. They knew what it was. This was no surprise. This was their Sunday entertainment, the shower. This was awful. So you're sentenced to that for what? Just for not signing something that was going to happen anyway. He was going to do it anyway. He doesn't actually need your approval. Think about it like, you giving your life doesn't actually stop the bad thing happening anyway. So you might as well just sign it, right? Do you know, that's why it's the incredible integrity of the man to say, even though the presence of my signature or its absence will have no effect on the actual outcome, I cannot stand for something that I know in conscience is wrong. Just integrity. My goodness, phenomenal integrity. As an act of mercy, then the king intervened and said that he could just be decapitated instead of hung, drawn, and quartered. Very nice of him. Friends like that, who needs enemies? But Thomas More then, he says, I die the king's faithful servant, but God's first. I die the king's faithful servant, but God's servant first, but God's first. As he was making his way up the gallows, the executioner helped him up, and he said, thank you for your assistance, I'll make my own way down. That's English humor for you. But again, I know that's only a joke, and yet there's something kind of profound about being able to not get completely swallowed by how horrific and horrendous the situation was, and to be able to see something more going on here. I'm standing for truth, I'm standing for right, I'm standing for justice, I'm standing for God, and even though I may stand alone, I still believe that this will bear fruit. Will I see the fruit? No. And another interesting thing about reading his life is the amount of tragedy that surrounded even his youth. So his mom died when he was young, and his father went on to marry 3 more times. So his father had 4 wives, all of whom died young. Then Thomas had 2 brothers and 3 sisters, but 3 of his siblings died within a year of their birth. I'm even losing count of how many funerals that is. To lose your mom, your stepmom, your stepmom, your stepmom, your next stepmom, another brother, a sister, these would have been a wealthy family. So any medical assistance that was going, they would have been able to get it. They weren't poor. And even in this family, there's such tragedy, such loss, such death. And what does this do to Thomas? Rather than making him bitter and cold, because this could happen too, the more life beats you down, the more you decide it's better not invest in people. It's better not care. Because it seems every time I love someone, they die. So it's better just to be indifferent, live life for your career, climb the political ladder, increase your influence and property and all titles and all that kind of thing, and then die like everyone else. But rather than becoming cynical and hardened, he even writes a wonderful work called Utopia about this fictional island where everything works. And he manages to hold on to as I say, such integrity of heart and an understanding of the value of the person. This quotation is a small bit complicated, but it does show the brains of the man too. People wonder to hear that gold, which in itself is such a useless thing, should be everywhere and so much esteemed that even men for whom it was made and by whom it has its value should be thought of less value than it is. You getting that? So gold that has its value basically because we appreciate it. If gold wasn't wanted by people, it would have no value. So gold is given its value by us, and yet human beings at the time, keep in mind it's the end of the 15th into the 16th century, slavery was still very much a thing. So that human beings can be considered less than the gold when we're the ones who give it value in the first place. So he had a profound understanding of the value of the human being, the human person too. And integrity of heart. When I was talking to a teacher relatively recently, and it was something that they noticed, which I thought was very profound. They said that they find that in young men today, young men find it hard to live integrity because they find it hard to commit to anything, to say, I will do it, and now they're responsible. Because they've heard this person say, I will do it, the person can now presume it will be done because they said they will do it. These days, you can't necessarily guarantee that at all. Someone says they'll do it, you have no idea if they actually will. Because integrity is lacking. Or if a person says, I will be faithful to you in marriage, have the integrity of heart to live that out, to follow that through. If they say, I will provide for you, protect you, take care of you, love you, honor you, defend you, Do their actions speak louder than their words? Have they got that integrity of heart to actually live that out? Not when it's easy. It's easy on the day you're getting married, but every day afterwards. It's easy on the days when your health is good and when everything is going well and you're successful. But on the hard days, on the days when there is no reward, on the days like St. Thomas More's execution, where it looks like your integrity brings you nothing, do you do it anyway? Do you remain? Do you live that integrity, that nobility of spirit? A half an hour before his execution, Thomas More, the dedicated scholar and churchman, opened his New Testament for the last time, and his eyes fell on the following words from St. John's Gospel. Eternal life is this, to know you, the only true God, and him whom you have sent, Jesus Christ. I have given you glory on earth by finishing the work you gave me to do. Do you now, Father, give me glory at your side? Then closing the book, he observed, there is enough learning in that to last me the rest of my life. May St. Thomas More intercede for us, and indeed for all, especially men today, if I may, to grant us an ever deeper sense of integrity of heart, that we might live it, that we might be men of our word, that what we say we do, we'll do, whether it's popular, whether it's applauded, whether it's known, whether it's seen or not, all for the greater glory of God.